And so if Jesus is king, all of your life is on the table. All of your life is open for him to speak into, open for him to challenge, open for him to communicate something about, that all of your life is on the table. You see, what I think tends to happen for us is when we just share part of our lives, we have sort of a religious or spiritual part of ourselves. There's a religious or spiritual part of our life. It's active right now. This morning, you're in church. You're gathered in a religious space, and so you could look at your life and just say, this is the religious or spiritual part of my life. And then what tends to happen is then we make Jesus the king of our religious, spiritual life, but everything else is kind of off limits. Everything else is kind of off limits. It's kind of like, you know that cartoon where there's like a cartoon is trying to make a decision and like an angel pops up on one shoulder and a devil pops up on one shoulder? Right? It's kind of like when we just share part of our life, we say, Jesus is just my personal savior, my personal private savior. It's like we have a little shoulder Jesus. Right? That Jesus is just there kind of inspiring me, just there to encourage me with a Bible verse, just there to help me feel better about myself, to maybe help me get over some habits that I have. That he's just kind of there to be my personal private savior, my personal private Jesus. He's just inspiring me and encouraging me, telling me a verse to help me get through my day, to help me feel better about myself. Maybe we'll allow him to speak into 10% of my financial life. We'll ask him to give us some advice about how we raise our kids or how we're in our marriage. But for the most part, we say, Jesus, you're my personal private Jesus. And so everything else about my life, I am in control of. I am in charge of. Well, what Paul is saying is that Jesus is king of everything, which means everything is on the table for him to speak into, for him to challenge, for him to change. That if Jesus is king, then all of my life is on the table.